You want to talk about this White House meeting over violent video games real quickly and how silly and stupid this thing was?
Sure. Let's talk about that real quick. So
Trump decided, hey, with all these violent school shootings, or I guess they're inherently violent, all these school shootings, he said, let's look at violent video games because it's 1993. Let's take a look at the real cause of this, which he thought was talking to the industry leaders about this and having a dog and pony show, basically.
Everything is a dog and pony show. So basically...
He had a roundtable discussion.
At
the White House.
And Representative Hartzler told the Washington Post that Trump opened the meeting by essentially showing a montage of clips of various violent video games, followed up by asking, man, pretty violent, huh? And that is basically the summary of what happened.
And that clip is online. It's an unlisted. It shows mostly Call of Duty and sniper clips, and people getting shot in the head, guy getting his head taken off with like an axe, and it's violence in video games. The No Russian infamous scene from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is there, and it's like, yes, these are violent acts in video games. But there's violent acts in movies.
Now let me
TV
introduce
shows.
you to cinema.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
And I remind people that when you watch them on TV shows or in movies, they're actually using actors, and so they're actually more graphic, you say, and more visceral because they're not like images. It's almost like when Death Race came out in '76 and people were getting up in arms because you were running over little pixel people and people were that upset about it. It's like, and in retrospect, that's quaint that people were upset about that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's still can be upsetting to some people, but there's safeguards in place for buying violent video games. We have an ESRB board to do that. So of course, nothing got accomplished.
No.
With this meeting, you had the anti-violent games people have been around for fucking ever. They invite Jack Thompson. I don't know. Yeah, but he was tweeting about it, I'm sure, or talking about it.
It's a PR stunt. Everything is a PR stunt. It's like, look, we're doing this, and then nothing comes of it, but the announcement was made that something was going to happen, so it looks like things are being done, and people go, things are happening.
Yeah, I always forget
things
that
are being done.
And we only have violent video games in the U.S., don't we? Oh no, they're all over the world.
Yeah,
the same games. We don't have our own special violent video games in the U.S.
Right?
They're in Japan, they're in Europe, they're everywhere. So
yeah, I was unaware of limited run games making limited violence games.
Limited violence. They're cutting out the violence.
No, limited run violence. Where they're just making violent games for the U.S. market.
Yeah, Doom's only in the U.S. There's bloodless, zombieless versions elsewhere in the world. Just fucking silly. And it's not even at this point infuriating. It's just almost expected that you would come back to this point with people just wanting to deflect and just point elsewhere where they can, we don't want to actually come up with policies that actually might make sense. We're going to blame something that you can't even scientifically blame, first of all, because there's nothing to link actual violence to video games. But we're going to be cowards and just hide from real issues and real solutions or real compromise even. That's the way the world worked. But hey, it makes us look good to our constituents back home, maybe.
Then we don't have to worry about the NRA.
Yeah. All right, well, that's that fucking disaster.